Game 6 of the NBA Finals tonight in Indiana. 3-2 lead. It's the first of two chances that Oklahoma City will have to win the title. The team that was favored going into the playoffs, the best team all year, and now they have two shots to win the NBA title. They just got to win a game as they lead 3-2. It's been a good series. It's been a more competitive series than I thought it would be. I think Indiana has played their heart outs. They played excellent. They got that game one shocking win with Halliburton hitting the shot. And the big thing here is, listen, Halliburton's it's his calf. Can he play? Is he going to play? How effective can he be? Because in game 5, where they lost by 11 points, he was nowhere to be found. Yeah, he was on the court and he played. He scored 4 points. They were all free throws. And if he can't play and he can't be at least 75% probably, I don't think they stand much of a chance tonight. Oklahoma City is just too good, too powerful. Their defense is too good. They got the best defense in the league. And without Halliburton, it's tough for the Pacers to run. So they slow it down on offense. And when the Pacers get into a half-court offense, then you really see the defense clamp down for Oklahoma City, and the Pacers just can't score the basketball. So it all rests on how injured Halliburton is. And I think he's pretty injured. He was in bad shape in game 5. Like I said, he gave him nothing. He was out there. And is he going to give him we're going to have a Willis Reed type situation tonight where he comes out. But remember, Willis Reed only scored 4 points in that game, and then he came out. If they get a Willis Reed performance tonight out of Halliburton, they're going to lose game 6, and they're going to lose the series. They have to win. It's a tall task asking the Pacers to win 2 games. I think they needed to somehow win game 5 in Oklahoma City. They couldn't do it. They lost by 11. They're just not good enough without Halliburton. And he's hit or miss. Because even when he's 100%, he takes games off every now and then. He has great games where he just takes the game over like he did in game 1. Like you saw him do it against the Knicks a couple times. But he also has games where he just takes it off. And without him and the spark plug that McConnell is good. McConnell's good off the bench, but he is not Halliburton. The Pacers don't run as much without Halliburton. They kind of play a half-court offense, and that's going to kill them because they can't win. They can't score against the defense of the Thunder. When they play half-court, they got to be running up and down the court. They got to get transition. They got to get turnovers. And they can't do that without Halliburton. He runs the team. Now, they are home tonight, so that you do have that going for you. This series has been more competitive than I thought it was going to be. I said Thunder in 5. We're now at 6 in game 6, and if I had gun to my head tonight, I'd say the Thunder win. They're a better team anyway, and with Halliburton, the best player on the other team, iffy as a game time decision, he's going to play. Listen, he's going to play 100%. Whether they have to drag him out there, he's going to play. But if he's just a shell of himself on the court and they're just playing 4-on-5 with Halliburton limping around, then they're not going to do anything. Now McConnell's a good player off the bench, but he's good off the bench for 15, 20 minutes. If you're going to ask him to give you 30, 35 minutes against this Oklahoma City team, then I don't think they stand a chance. You're going to need at least 50% Halliburton tonight. In game 5, they gave it a valiant effort. Jalen Williams was great for Oklahoma City, put up 40 points. SGA put up 31. And listen, if Oklahoma City wins, SGA is going to win the MVP. That's what it is. I don't want to hear always Williams giving him a run for the MVP. It's going to be Gilgeous-Alexander that's going to win. And listen, it's a home game. Indiana plays well at home. We'll see what they can do, right? You go out there and you just see what you can do. Halliburton, it's unfortunate that he got hurt because I think it could have went 7. I think Indiana could have won this game. But without him, they're not going to win. And it doesn't sound like he's going to be anywhere very near full strength at game time. He was in the walkthrough today, he was taking shots, but he wasn't jumping to take the shots. He was taking shots from on the floor. It doesn't look good. Now, listen, if he plays and he has a miraculous, Michael Jordan type flu game type performance, then it's a different story. But do you really expect him to get that out of Halliburton tonight? Or do you expect it to be a 15-point where they hang close through the third quarter, and then in the fourth quarter, just Oklahoma City just opens it up and wins by 15 and wins the title? That's probably that's the way I see it going probably tonight. I'm going to be rooting for Indiana because you want to see a Game 7. You want to see the underdogs. But it's going to be a tall ask. And they're at home, so we'll see what they can do. And if they win this, are they going to, do you give them much of a shot in Game 7? So Indiana, I think the series ended, the series rested on Game 5. If Indiana won Game 5, they came out of there 3-2 lead coming into this Game 6, and they had 2 chances to just win one and win the championship, then I'd give them a much better chance because they could win 1 out of 2. And they've been good in this series. It's been a good series. Nobody's watching it. The ratings are down to historic lows, less than 10 million average in Game 5. They'll have a better, more viewers tonight because it's Game 6. The title's on the line. A team could win it. But under 10 million averaging is not good for the NBA. And that's why when people say, oh, the Knicks, the NBA hates the Knicks, they're against the Knicks, the NBA would have loved to have the Knicks in this thing. They'd be getting 20 million people watching it if the Knicks were playing. But they got Indiana and they got Oklahoma City, 2 places in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the country. You get 9 million people watching instead of the 17 or 20 that they'd have if the Knicks were in there. So not a good ratings. It's been a good series, so it's not the play. Game 1 was a fantastic classic with a last-second buzzer beater. There were a couple games where Oklahoma City kind of, just outclassed them. Game 5 included. Oklahoma City is going to try and slow down the offense of the Pacers, and if they can do that, then the Pacers can't score because the Pacers can't play half court. They need to be the ball moving up and down the floor. They got to run turnovers. That's what they need. Oklahoma City probably needs to move the ball a little bit more on offense. They haven't been great with that, but they have more talent. They've had more talent than everybody all year. And now it's going into Game 6. It's theirs to lose. As Oklahoma City looks for their first NBA championship in Oklahoma City. They, of course, have one as the Seattle Supersonics back in the day because it's the same franchise that moved to Oklahoma City. But we'll see. It's been interesting. It's been very interesting. It's been a good series. And we'll see if the Pacers can push it one more game. They're 5.5-point underdogs tonight. I think that's probably about the right number. I would say that my pick would be Oklahoma City by probably like 10 or 11, just like in Game 5. I think it's a valiant effort by the Pacers. I think McConnell probably steps in and plays more than Halliburton, and he'll probably play well. But they can't win with a 30% of Tyrese Halliburton. And it's a shame that he went down because you'd like to see a Game 7, and I think if he was 100% and playing, I think they could get it to Game 7. And then you just roll the dice. But I don't think that'll happen. I think that Oklahoma City wins tonight, and and then that's it. And then the favorite all year, the best team all year, and then they will win. So now, as far as the Knicks go, and like I said, it feels like the series has lasted. It feels like the Knicks were eliminated a month ago. It's 2 weeks ago. It's just over 2 weeks. And in that time, they fired their coach, which is a bad move. They clearly had no plan going into this thing. They fired him. Now they have people that are turning the job down. You got the guy in the guy they wanted in Houston just signed an extension, so he's not coming. And now they're interviewing the people like Mike Brown is the names you're hearing. And not that Mike Brown's a bad NBA coach or a bad basketball coach. He's not. He's a good basketball coach. He's been around forever. He was the coach on LeBron's first trip into the finals in Cleveland. He was an assistant on Steve Kerr's teams that won all the titles in Golden State. But I think Thibodeau's better. I think Thibodeau's absolutely better. And why fire a guy when he's the most successful coach you've had in 30 years? The Knicks are back. It's like they can't be good. It's like they get there, they're so close, and then they just revert right back to just dysfunction. Taylor Jenkins also interviewed for the job. He's a former Grizzlies coach. Again, not a big name. If you're going to fire Thibodeau, bring somebody in that's a big name. Pat Riley's not coming in to coach this team. I told you, I would go for Jay Wright. I'd go right to Jay Wright, and I'd say, listen, you want to coach. You're a basketball coach. You get off the TV. You don't have to deal with the college and the politics and the portal and then this and the paying the players. You want to do the NBA. You want to give the NBA a shot. He has to want to give the NBA a shot. You could do it with your guys. The Nova Knicks. You won titles with these guys in college. Now you could come lead them into the pros and a championship with these guys in this city. And forget it. Word is he doesn't want, he's not interested. I can't believe he's not interested. It just seems so perfect, such a perfect fit. And then now I'd throw him a blank check and say, come on. What is it going to take? Because we'll give you whatever it takes. Instead, you got Mike Brown and Taylor Jenkins and people like that. They went after Jason Kidd. He wanted no part of it. I don't think you want Jason Kidd either. Jason Kidd wasn't a great coach. So the Knicks are in shambles. 2 weeks. Took 2 weeks for them to get just this close to the NBA Finals and then just right back down into dysfunction. And I'm sure that Thibodeau's laughing all the way to the bank because he's getting a $30 million payout. He gets to kick his feet up. He doesn't have to deal with it anymore. I'm sure he wanted to coach, but he's pissed that he's not coaching. The Knicks are now, players are saying, oh, the media is saying stuff. Come on. Right back to where they were 5 years ago, 6 years ago. They just have better players. So we'll see. We'll see who they hire. I don't know, what they're going to do. Like I said, I would go give Jay Wright a blank check and just say, what is it going to take to get you here? Whatever you want. Because he's probably the best coach out of any of these names. I mean, Mike Brown, like I said, Mike Brown's not a bad coach. And he would do all right. But is he better than Thibodeau? Thibodeau's a bigger name than Mike Brown. Mike Brown's an older guy. He's done it forever. He's been in the league for 30 years. So, we'll see how that goes. Still no coach there. What are you going to do? But tonight, Game 6, NBA Finals. Pacers, home, hosting the Thunder. We'll see if they can push it. Like I said, obviously all eyes are on Halliburton and the calf. And how effective is he going to be? He's going to play. This ain't game time decision. There's no way he's sitting on the sideline in a suit today or in street clothes. No way. He's going to come out there. He might give you, a Willis Reed type thing. But remember, when people say Willis Reed and you think 30 points. And then Willis Reed scored 4 points in that game. And then he went right to the bench. And if that happens tonight, Pacers don't win. You need 30 minutes out of Halliburton. You probably need 20 to 25 points just to have a chance. And that's a low-end game for him. You need McConnell also to go off. He's got to have a really good game. You need Siakam to play well. You just need a lot to happen. Obi Toppin has not really been great. He scored 12 points in Game 5, but you need Nembhard, you need McConnell, and you need something out of Halliburton. And if you could get all those and you get a couple bounces your way, you never know what happens, and maybe you get this to a Game 7. But it's asking a lot. I'm rooting for the Pacers. Gun to my head, I'm picking Oklahoma City. I think they win by 11. I think tonight's it. The NBA season will come to an end. Right? Good series. This was a good series either way. The playoffs were fun this year. We won because we had the Knicks going all the way to the Eastern, taking it to the Eastern Conference, a run that we never saw coming. And then, they blew it up. But there were upsets all over the place, which you don't see a lot in the NBA playoffs. There's really only, nobody saw Oklahoma City, Indiana in the NBA Finals. But here we are, and we're at Game 6. It's been a good series. Now, like I said, the ratings not there. But you're not going to get big ratings from Oklahoma City and Indiana. It's just not, the people aren't there. You're not getting a non-basketball fan to watch. It's not the Lakers and the Celtics and the Knicks, or the Bulls with Jordan. It's Indiana and it's Oklahoma City, two cities in the middle of nowhere. And SGA is a great player, and he's the MVP, and he's probably going to be the MVP of the finals, but he's not a full household name to non-basketball households yet. If I asked my wife who SGA was, she'd have no idea. But if you ask her who LeBron James is, or Michael Jordan, or Brunson, or any of those big names, or Curry, she knows who all they are. All of them are. No idea. Never even heard of SGA. I promise you. And that's not his fault. And in 4 or 5 years, the non-basketball person will probably have heard of him because he's going to be a great player. But not yet. And that's costing the NBA ratings. And, it doesn't look good. The NHL had decent ratings as Florida won their second straight. Right? So there's that. As far as that goes, the Florida, listen, Edmonton's got to get it together. They lost 2 straight now finals to the Florida Panthers. They don't have a goalie. The goalie, Canada can't get the Stanley Cup, right? It's been now since 95 when the Canadians won it. 95 is the last Canadian team. They've lost 5 or 6 cup finals with all the teams in there. Quebec lost 1. Calgary lost 1. Edmonton's lost 3. Montreal's lost 1. They just can't get that cup back north of the border. And Florida now with back-to-back championships, that's hard to do. That's an impressive thing. Like when you think about the Islanders winning 4 in a row, that you don't even realize how impressive that really is. The Islanders winning 4 straight Stanley Cups. Stanley Cup is probably the hardest one to win. It just is. Now, as far as the more other hockey news that happened in the last week or so, Rangers trade Chris Kreider. He's out. Kreider is and listen, Chris Kreider is just going to, he joins the list, and it's a long list of Ranger players where you say, great player, great Ranger. It's a shame he didn't win the cup. And there's a million players on that list. From Lundqvist to everybody except the players that were on the 94 team. All the great players going back since from 1940 till today, except that one team. There's a lot of them. And Kreider joins the list. He's an all-time Ranger. He will have his number hanging in the rafters, and when he decides to hang it up in 2 years or a year or two, whenever it is. Makes me feel old too, because I remember when Kreider came up when he first came to the Rangers, they drafted him mid-season because that's when the draft is. He comes up, he plays in the playoffs, he scored a couple big goals, and then he was consistent. He was an excellent player. He's got a couple 50-goal seasons. He scored, 2 years ago, he had one of the great seasons ever for a Ranger. He just couldn't win the cup. He couldn't get over the hill, and it's a list a mile long of Rangers like that, and it's a shame. Lundqvist is right at the top of that list. Kreider's at the top of that list. I mean, there's a million of them from back in the 70s and the 80s and the early 90s. There's a lot of them. And that just shows how special it is that what the Islanders did, winning 4 in a row, and now the Panthers have won 2 in a row. And Paul Maurice, you've got to feel good for Paul Maurice. He lost a couple than he won last year. And now because he's a good guy, seems like a nice guy, and he's a good NHL coach, probably a Hall of Famer. But the difference in that series was the power play. Connor McDavid, again, 2 straight years, disappeared. Connor McDavid was nowhere to be found in that series. And Edmonton, without Connor McDavid, can't win. He's the best player on the ice. He's the best player in the league. And then he disappears in the Stanley Cup Finals. Last year, he no-showed Game 7. This year, he no-showed the whole series. He just was. I mean, listen, he had a couple we had that great move in Game 5 where he had the move and the assist. Yeah, he has flashes, but he needed to take over that series because Florida's a better team. So Connor McDavid no-showed and a better goalie because Bobrovsky totally outplayed Skinner in goal. And Bobrovsky's an all-time, he's a Hall of Famer. He's now got multiple Stanley Cups. He's just Mr. Reliable back there. And you got Skinner on the other side who's just fumbling and bumbling. He got pulled twice. He let up a crucial rebound where he just coughed it right onto the stick of the Panthers in front of the net. That made it 3-0 in Game 6 and put the game away. And he coughed it up right to him. You don't see Bobrovsky doing that. And that's the difference. That was the difference. Edmonton's a good team, but without Connor McDavid, he's got to show up. And he's going to be hearing about it until he wins a cup. I think he'll get one. He'll get one because they got a good team, and he is a great, great player. But people comparing him to like Gretzky and Messier, like these guys got 6 cups. Gretzky and Messier have 6 Stanley Cups. Don't compare the guy who no-showed Game 7 last year and no-showed the whole series this year. Let's not compare him to those guys. Or even Crosby, who's got a couple cups. Don't do it, because until he wins a cup, he's not even close to that level. So that does it for us here. Mets, listen, we'll deal with the Mets another time. Sick of talking about the Mets for a couple days because it's pissing me off. 5 in a row, we can live with 5 in a row, but you got to end it. They got to start winning games, and they got to get their act together. But tonight we got Game 6. Will it be a coronation for the Oklahoma City Thunder, or will the Pacers push this thing to the limit? And Game 7 on Saturday night, I believe it would be, in Oklahoma City. Obviously, the big question is Halliburton. Will he play? How bad's the ankle? How bad's the calf? How much can he give them? Nobody knows. I think it's more on the lesser side, and I think that's going to be the difference. So that does it for us. Enjoy the game tonight, everybody. Don't forget, rate, review, and subscribe. Every little bit helps. You can get us anywhere you get your podcasts. Anywhere there's podcasts, Locked Up Sports is there on YouTube, and always, always, always at lockedupsports.net, lockedupsports.net. From the Brian Gunzel Studios, I'm Bob Walters. See ya.